Hello everyone. So in this session we will talk about the Docker Compose first, and then we will see that how we can prepare one Docker Compose.yml file, and finally we will try to execute with that file, and we will create the Selenium grid. So let's get started. So at the very first part, Docker Compose. So Docker Compose is kind of a command that we are executing on top of the Docker. So how it can help is like that if you already have certain containers and images installed on your Docker platform. So and if you already have written certain kind of script and set up few commands, so you do not need to re-execute or rewrite those commands again and again. It's just like an external file commands that you can actually supply, and based on that Docker will perform the execution and your container and images can be allocated. The very basic Docker commands that we're gonna use further. So first of all, that is like docker and then compose and up and -d. So what does it means that what Docker will do in that case, that whatever the specified containers and the images are already there, so Docker can automatically start those images by pulling up that. If those containers are not been installed, so Docker can automatically pull up that latest version and start on behalf of you. You do not need to write any further commands on just to trigger or start those containers. This hyphen d is nothing but your specific flag, right? And this basically stands for the detached mode. Okay. The second useful command which you can also find out in the readme file, that is docker and then hyphen compose and then hyphen f, and the specific docker compose dot yml file path, and then up and then -d. So if we execute this specific command, so what it will do is it will basically look for the instructions whatever has been defined on this specified docker.yml path, and then it will just start running those specified containers and along with the images in the detached mode, right? So it can be like docker hyphen compose. And moreover, one more thing that is like very kind of important and useful as well, that is docker hyphen compose, then we can say that up, then we can say like scale. And say for example, if we have a node called chrome browser, right? For chrome browser, if we have a node, then what we can actually do is we can just write like this. So what it will do is, say for example, initially if your selenium grid contains two set of chrome nodes, right? And you would like to have, or you would like to increase the browser or the chrome node instance, so we can just pass this. So what docker compose will we do, docker will look for the additional three more chrome instances, and it will automatically register with the existing selenium grid. Okay. So the practical example of this specific command we will be seeing in our further example, and that can clarify it more, well, in the much more sense. Okay. So this is what we have as part of the Docker Compose related commands that we will be needing. The next thing that we will be doing is the preparation of the Docker Compose.yml file. Yeah. So now, if you can see that we already open our the same project wherever we have already executed couple of like executed one more test script in our previous sessions. So here we're gonna create in one file that can contain the instruction to launch the Selenium grid and whatever like desired nodes that we would like to assign to it, right? So to do that, what we can do is we can actually expand this SHC, and if you observe that we already have created, sorry, not that, this is the one Docker folder, right? We already have a directory called Docker. So within that, what I can do is I can simply create one file called docker hyphen compose and dot yml. Okay, so this is the file. I'm just adding it to the staged, um, and this is the YML file. And now we just need to provide certain steps over here so that Docker Compose can understand that what needs to be done. Okay, so the very first thing that we'll be doing is the very first tag that will be like version. So as you can see, that is version, right? So whenever I'm started writing, it's my ID automatically started identifying that what exactly the keyword I'm using. That is because of I have already installed one Docker plugin along with this IntelliJ. That's the reason it's showing me the auto citations. So the version that we need to use, that is the version 3 type of uh, uh, version 3 that we are going with. The next part or next tag that we need to use it, that is called services. Okay, so within this services, we need to press the enter. So services would be your parent tag, and within that, like under this specific service, we need to define all the services whatever we would like to assign or we'd like to trigger. Okay, so let's first write all the services, and then we can actually describe what exactly those are. So Chrome is something, the node that we will be needing, and we'll be needing the Selenium slash node, that will be like Chrome node, and the node version can be 4.13.0 and hyphen 20230 maybe the second one we can use. And this is the image that we are trying to allocate in our specific container, right? Now the second tag or second field that we need to define, that is called shm size. So basically it's saying like how much space that you would like to assign for this specific node. So we are assigning the 2 GB of space, and we are also saying that this specific node should have to execute on a specific container, right? And that gonna be our selenium hub. Okay, this is the specific container that we are trying to registering our Chrome node on this, correct? So we'll be defining this Selenium container as well in the later on. So, and one more important part that we need to define, or important section that we need to design, that is called environment. So environment is the specific part where we need to define like what would be your node or like hub host, what would be the specific port that you are trying to launch or publish the specific node. So those important details we need to define here. So with the latest update with Selenium grid and hub setup with Docker, these are the flags or environment variable, we can say, that we need to define. So those are like se underscore event underscore bus underscore host, and this host can be the same one, which is selenium hyphen hub. Now the next variable that we need is se underscore, sorry, um, event underscore bus underscore publish underscore port. And this time the port can be like 4442 that we are targeting to launch, right? The next environment variable can be se underscore event underscore bus underscore subscribe underscore port equal to probably 4443, right? So these are the common and important and environment variable that you need to use. Just one thing to be noted, like I have gone through couple of existing blogs and videos also. So there, this environment a bit different. Okay, so that is what with the lower version of Selenium, but nowadays this environment variables mentioning is very important. Otherwise it may possible that your node may be launched but your, sorry, my bad, your Selenium hub may be registered but your node may not be registered with the Selenium hub. So just be careful with this part, right? So as we already have created one service now, which is very straightforward. So what you can do is you can simply copy this Chrome part and say, for example, one more service or one more node service that we are looking for, that is for Firefox. So it should be, can be like Firefox. Okay, and here the name, there will be a small change, so it would be like Firefox, right? And the version can be same, there is no problem with it. And finally the important part, that we need to assign our Selenium hub as well, otherwise like where our defined nodes going to be registered, right? So for that, whatever we have written, that is called Selenium hub, and this has to have contain certain things. So for this, the image that we're gonna use is, it can be like um, image, and image can be like selenium slash hub, and then the same version that we are going to use, whatever we have used for the other nodes. And this time, as it's going to be a container, so container name can be selenium hub, and the last part is ports. So basically we are looking for that on which specified port we wanted to run our specified Selenium hub and the other nodes. So we can actually define multiple ports, right? And a single ports also. So just to be as we are already using 442 and 443 as a subscribe port and publishing port, so the same thing we can just define here. So 442 and 443 is one of the, my bad, so it should be like 442. Second part can be 4443 colon 4443, and the last one is common port, default port, that is 4444 colon 4444, right? So with this setup, our compose.yml file is actually being prepared. Okay, so now if we have a quick overview, right, whatever we have written. So first of all, what we have written is like, see, this is our starting point, because Selenium hub is nothing but our container, right? And this is something has to be set up, otherwise our node won't be registered, right? This is the rule that we know. So what will happen, that once we try to execute this specific YML file, first Selenium hub going to be executed, is going to be configured in our specific local host, and through the Docker obviously. And after that, the other two images, which is those are like our Chrome node and the Firefox node, these two browser node going to be created and going to be registered on top of the Selenium hub. And that is the reason the mapping we are doing like this. If you see, this depends on, right, let me just control one. Okay, so if you see this, so this is the specific depends on, is nothing but our the specific field, right, where we have mentioned the Selenium hub. Yes. So if you see this specific part, which is like this depends on, which defined in the line number 6, this is the specific field where we have actually mapped the specific node with our Selenium hub, which is nothing but our the hub container, right? Similarly, we have done for Firefox also. that is defined into the line number 15. And moreover, folks, let's say tomorrow you wanted to execute, or you probably wanted to add one more browser or one more browser node, right? So what you need to do is you can simply copy this line and add it on just below of it. You just need to know that on which specific node that you wanted to run, and what would be the version for it. Okay, so those all the things are basically available in this specific if you see this hub.docker, there is a site. So those things are actually mentioned over there. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so one more site is there. Let me just check this out. So Docker Hub, and if you see this, this is the, yeah, this is the site actually, official image. Hmm. Yeah. So if you just simply type over here that whatever the container or probably the images that you are looking for, so all those things you can actually find it out, right? So this is the selenium-hub container and image details that we are actually having published by Selenium. And if you go there, so all those things you can see that currently what is the version of it, and apart from the Docker Compose, how we can actually set up all those things are actually defined, right? So yeah, so this site can also be useful for you. Okay. And finally, yeah, so this is the docker compose.yml file that we have configured in this session. In our next session, what we will do is we will execute this docker compose file externally with the help of docker command, docker compose command, and then we will see that how the selenium grid is being launched, and we will also perform the text execution on parallel on the specified browser nodes, right? So yeah, so let's catch up in our next session. Thank you.